All right, boys and girls, we have this week's New Orleans Saints final injury report for the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And oh my gosh, if you thought last week's was bad, this week's it's brutal, man. It is absolutely brutal. Oh, starting things off, Willie Gay, right? We've seen that picture of him in a wheelchair last week after last week's game. Did not practice all week. He's out. Okay. Taysom Hill got re-injured last week. He's out. That's huge. Such a big part of the offense. We've seen how they performed on offense in week 3 without him. And then last week, once he went out of the game against the Falcons, it went downhill. So Taysom Hill, huge. Cesar Ruiz, starting offensive lineman, out. All right. Shane Lemieux, guess what? Another starting offensive lineman, started at center last week in place of Eric McCoy. He's out. Peyton Turner got a sack fumble last week. Did not practice this week. He is out. Okay. And then Blake Grupe, our kicker, right? He was on the injury report, didn't practice Thursday, but was full Friday and Saturday. That's huge. He looks like he's good to go, right? You got Demario Davis, didn't play last week, missed his first game ever due to injury. He was limited throughout the week, but practiced fully on Saturday, so it looks like he's going to be back in the lineup, which is humongous because, right, Willie Gay is also out. And just this week, actually just today, Pete Werner was added to the injury report. He was limited today in practice, and his game status is questionable. So if you're doing the math, that's Pete Werner, Willie Gay, and Demario Davis all dealing with some type of injury. That right there is literally the complete linebacking core. All the starters all have some kind of injury. One of them's out. One of them is questionable with a recent injury. Not good, right? And then you go down the list here. I mean, let's see. Fuaga, the left tackle. He was limited all week. He'll probably play. AK was limited, then he practiced fully today. Juwan Johnson dealing with some. Brian Bresee, Kendre Miller, he got back to practice this week. Good to see him back out there. Hopefully he can, give AK a rest, right? We've been feeding AK the ball way too much at a rate that just isn't sustainable. So hopefully he can come in and be that good 1-2 punch. Olave played through hamstring last week. He's still dealing with it. It looks like he did practice fully this week, so that is good. But always, not good to see him on the injury report. Cedric Wilson Jr. was full practice this week, but he is still listed on here. And then Lucas Patrick, right? He did not practice Friday, and he did not practice Saturday, and he is questionable. And if you're keeping count here, that's 1, Lucas Patrick, okay? Then Fuaga, 2, Lemieux, 3, Ruiz, 4. That's 4 offensive linemen, 4 starting offensive linemen that are coming into this game with some type of injury. And we already know Lemieux is out and Ruiz is out. So that's 2 starters already out, on top of course, Eric McCoy being out for 8 weeks or whatever. And now Lucas Patrick did not practice Friday and Saturday. That doesn't bode well for his game status, right? He's listed at questionable, but I mean, if you do the math in your head, so that it looks like it's going to be Lucas Patrick, Cesar Ruiz, and Shane Lemieux probably not playing, right? We know that Lemieux and Ruiz aren't. Don't know about Patrick yet, but that's potentially 3 starters. 3 starters down on the offensive line, one of which that is already a backup. And it looks like the Saints signed Connor McGovern off the Jets practice squad, and it looks like he could be starting for the Saints on Monday Night Football after, 2 days of practice. That is how down bad the Saints are right now in terms of injuries. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up, man. The injury luck, really this year, but every other year in the past is just horrible for the New Orleans Saints. And I know other teams get injured. I know that, right? But man, do they get injured at this rate that the Saints do? I mean, at some point, do you have to look at the strength and conditioning staff? I mean, I don't know, right? But the Saints so beat up, man. What can you really say? It's a huge game coming up. Saints are 2-2. I mean, could you imagine the Saints lose this game, fall to 2-3, dip below 500 after the hot start that they had? If that were to happen, man, that would be awful for the team's morale. I mean, you start the year so hot, 2 games in a row, you're explosive on offense, dominant on defense, and then you drop 3 games in a row and go below 500. So huge game against the Chiefs nonetheless, and the Saints are going to have to do it extremely shorthanded. Appreciate you guys watching. Peace.